Saman to also ask you some questions.
Thank you, Chairman. And where you are the interviewer. I was the interviewer, you are the interviewer.
The roles have changed.
That's on a light note. And as you already know, the IEBC is always expected to be an impartial arbiter. But at the same time, it's expected to engage stakeholders like the judiciary, the executive, the legislature. And I would like to hear from you, what do you think you'll be able to do in terms of maintaining that impartiality, but at the same time, engaging these specific stakeholders, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature?
Thank you so much, Chair. Yes, indeed, the IEBC is supposed to be an impartial arbiter that carries out its responsibility without any influence from anywhere, without influence from the government, from any political party, from any candidate, from any public office. And it is indeed true that stakeholder engagement is very, very important. It's very important. In fact, there is no institution that can run without engaging stakeholders, because we cannot work in silos. We have to work with partners. In engaging with stakeholders, first of all, you have to map them out and know who are the people that I need to work with. Is it the police? Is it the DPP? Is it the judiciary? Is it civil society organizations when you're talking about voter education, for example? Is it DCI? Is it based on whatever it is that the IEBC is seeking to gain from the stakeholders? All those engagements must be on the basis of the rule of law. All the engagements must be on the basis of strict observance of the rule of law and based on the respective mandates of the IEBC vis-a-vis the mandate of those other institutions. If it is, for example, the police, and you're seeking to effect arrests for people who have violated the Election Offences Act, then you're operating just on the basis of that, following the law. If it is about witness protection, it's the same thing. So engaging stakeholder engagements have to continue, but based on the rule of law. Thank you.
On a follow-up question, would you, if you were to consider developing a stakeholder engagement guideline, what are these principles that would guide the stakeholder engagements? Apart from the rule of law, of course, you've mentioned.
Okay. There's the issue of common interest. What are we interested in as IEBC based on the mandates of the other organization or institution? You will also look at what do I say? You'd need to look at what is it that IEBC requires? What kind of support does IEBC require from the other organization? It also has to be based on mutual respect. And it also has to be able to, whatever engagement you're having should be able to meet a need of the Commission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fatuma Saman. This time I want to invite Nicodemus Bore to ask you some questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Madam Amadi, we saw your service for the nation for the last 10 years in the public. And from your CV, you have indicated that you did almost 20 years in the public service.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm sure you have had experiences of misconduct within your institutions that you have been serving.
Yes.
And also, your role was to ensure integrity was upheld. So, how are you able to deal with such internal misconducts at the same time upholding the integrity, especially as a chief registrar for the last 10 years?
Okay. Yes, we had a lot of challenges with integrity issues in the judiciary. It's in the public domain. We know that we have very many good judicial officers, but we also have those that disappoint, and it's really a national problem. So some of the integrity issues that we had at all levels, at the judicial level and at the administrative level, included things like allegations of corruption, allegations of bribery, allegations of improper influence, and that's on the judicial level. At the administrative level, there were allegations when it came to matters of favoritism, as an example, in terms of, things like transfer, like, what else? Promotions. There would be those allegations. And so what did we do? In terms of looking at matters integrity, the judiciary created the Office of the Judiciary Ombudsman that would receive complaints from the public or from the internal public, and so the complaints would be processed and sent to the Judicial Service Commission, which has a disciplinary mandate both for staff and the judicial officers and the judges. So complaints would come. There was a complaints manual that we developed to help us process them by way of giving the complainant an opportunity to be heard, and also giving the judicial officer or staff an opportunity to be heard. And then a determination is made. In a few cases, there were people who were let go. In some, there would be a warning or a severe warning, or one would be admonished. So there were different levels of disciplinary outcomes depending on the gravity of the problem. So in terms of upholding integrity, we did customer satisfaction surveys to just have a sense of what people are saying about us. Initially, we got a very low percentage, and the subsequent ones kept getting better and better because we were able now to identify the areas where we were being hit the most and trying to put measures in place to make sure that we try and deal with the issue of upholding integrity. One of the initiatives that we put in place was to have integrity assurance officers in every court station. So every court station had to pick 2 people to be the integrity assurance officers, and we partnered with the Iebc to train them so that then they would know what to look out for and indicate who was doing what. It was still new by the time I left the judiciary, and I hope that it is progressing well. So apart from the Office of the Judiciary Ombudsman, we had the Integrity Assurance Officers, and we also had the Judiciary Leadership Team that then would deal with certain aspects of concerns that were coming from the court stations, especially where there is no report. Because one thing you realize is that many times people will say, court so-and-so is corrupt, but they will rarely come and say, I gave this or I did this, because things are done under the table. So that then it's when it's a matter that is of common notoriety, but you don't really have any evidence, it becomes challenging to deal with it. But again, you can deal with it administratively just by asking the magistrate or the staff to come and you tell this is your reputation and you're being watched. And in some situations, it did help. Yeah.
As follow-up question, the position you have applied for is of very high public scrutiny. And remember, a year ago, before you left office,
Yes.
the High Court issued orders to freeze your personal accounts.
Yes.
And those of the law firm associated with yourself.
Yes.
That is Amadi and Associates Advocates in relation to a gold scandal.
That's correct.
It is alleged that you and other persons who are at the center of the gold scandal defrauded a British citizen of more than $100 million paid to the purchase of 1,500 kilograms of gold,
That's correct.
which it is said you were to deliver in exchange for the payment. These are serious allegations,
Very.
and we wish you to have a chance to explain to the public
Yes.
how this position you have applied for, noting the serious allegations of your involvement in the gold scandal.
Yes.
And maybe you can have a chance to clear the air.
Yes. It is true that there was an order that was issued freezing my accounts, and I agree with you that the allegations are extremely serious. My response is this, that there was actually no reason for me to be in that case and named as the first respondent, because the firm that is involved, I resigned from it in 2014. And I was very busy in the judiciary. There was no time even to go and, get into any kind of practice. So for me, it was a malicious attack, and which is something that is, when you're in public service, you must be ready for. Public service at certain levels is not for the faint-hearted. So it was an attempt to shake me, an attempt to mudsling my reputation, because I've upheld my integrity. I do not have skills in gold trade, and I had nothing to do with it. In fact, for the interest of this commission, I came with copies of the decision of the High Court that vitiated the decision freezing my account, and also the decision of the Court of Appeal, which agreed with the High Court and basically found that I had nothing to do with it. So I have the decisions which I can share with the Secretariat if need be. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. You give a copy of that decision to the Secretariat, the gentleman behind you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bwana Tanui, FCPA. Oh, sorry, Professor Adams. Professor Adams, sorry about that.
Thank you very much, Chair. Madam Amadi, you are seeking to go to a very high voltage position. You have just come from a high voltage institution where you served as the accounting officer under 3 Chief Justices post the 2010 Constitution. And just like where you seek, there have been questions on the judiciary. The position you held, you finished 10 years. Some people were not lucky. Where you are going, most of them usually also end up finishing their terms. And even when they finish, the country is usually divided as to whether they are a hero or a villain. Looking back to the institution you have just come from, bearing in mind that there was the Ringera team, that there was the radical surgery, that there was the vetting board, and still questions arose, still arise to this day on that judiciary. Looking back on your service, is there anything you would do differently in terms of promoting institutional integrity in the judiciary, looking and reflecting now that you have exited?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Indeed, I have come from a very high voltage position, and I was very conscious of the fact that IEBC is also very high voltage before I consulted within myself and decided that I wanted to give it a try. I don't know whether it's because I'm used to it, but I know that I've been tested and I have been tried, and I've undertaken high voltage national processes relating to the transition of two presidents in this country. And I did it successfully under immense pressure. I never lost my composure. I never lost my comportment, and it's because I have a very high self-awareness. And for as long as I'm following the rule of law, it really doesn't matter. I applied knowing that IEBC is one of the most vilified institutions in this country, either as by way of perception or whether it's real, whether the things that IEBC is accused of are true or not true. I can't sit here and say that this is what they did wrong, but I know that I'm able to take pressure, and I know that I have very high emotional intelligence. I know that I'm able to be a unifying factor in the commission. I'm able to reach out because I believe that sometimes what we've seen is there is a lot of problems even at party nomination levels before it comes to the IEBC. And when there is trouble at the nomination level, it is likely to show up at the electoral levels. So my thinking is that constant engagement with the political parties and other players is very important so that there is no suspicion. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of restoring public trust in the IEBC, because this is our country and this is our institution. And we need to get to a level where we're able to trust outcomes. I remember in 2017, the Judiciary Committee on Elections visited one jurisdiction, it was Ghana, to see how they do their electoral dispute resolution. That year we had the previous year we had 388 election disputes in the judiciary. In Ghana they only had 7. Reason? The trust that they have in the electoral body. And my vision is to see an IEBC like that in this country, where an election can happen and people feel that, yes, I lost, but I lost fairly. We need to deal with the party discipline first. There are times when we all know in this nation that for the so-called stronghold areas, once you have the party ticket, then you're as good as elected. Voter education remains so important because the people who fight, the people who are used to cause violence are the same voters. So my view is that as the IEBC does voter education, it's important to extend it to civic education so that it's not just voter education. We've also placed a very high premium on the presidential election because ordinarily you'll find that a lot of the other positions are not so hotly contested as the top position. When we talk about technology, the challenge I see is that very few people understand it, how it works. Is there a way through which the IEBC can engage all the stakeholders in looking at what they want in terms of specifications for the digital systems? How do they want it to work? What should it look like? Because when we have very few people who understand the system and the rest of the population doesn't, because the law says that the process should be simple, accurate, verifiable, and all that. But if it's not understood, then it's very difficult to deal with the aspect of suspicion. So my thinking is that all these processes should somehow be accessible for those who want to know, those who want to participate. They should be allowed to participate so that then at every stage, people know what is going on and people know what to expect. When there is any kind of mystery, any kind of we don't know what is going on, then we are likely to continue on that trajectory. So what I'll try to do is just be more open. I'll try to be more engaging with stakeholders at every stage and also communicate strategy on need basis so that questions are answered before, so that we are proactive and not reacting to complaints that are being raised. And this panel has a very key role in ensuring that you also just give this nation a team that is going to help us achieve that. It's not an easy thing, but I know that it is doable, because if we get it right from this panel, then you're likely to get it right at the critical moment. Thank you, Chair.
You just talked of public trust, and IEBC is one of the institutions that has one of the lowest public trust, depending on which side of the political divide you are in. It is this very same IEBC that we have seen chairs declaring results surrounded by policemen without fellow commissioners. Sorry for that. Without fellow commissioners. You have just told us about how you have overseen two presidential succession with immense pressure at hand. This one is even going to have even more immense pressure. And the country is looking, as you correctly say, can we get it right this time? What does Amadi bring in terms of leadership, in terms of courage, in terms of integrity? Because people die. We know of very key officials who died in unexplained circumstances up to today. It will be high voltage. What does Amadi bring that people can look and say, this time round, as you correctly say, we can have an election in which the loser says that all is right, or in which the Supreme Court does not nullify, or in which the Supreme Court listens but doesn't say that irrespective of this and this and this should have been done this way. But because of the security of the nation, we need it.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, you had earlier asked just to compare with what we had done in the judiciary. And remember, when I went to the judiciary in 2014, there was a lot of anxiety and a lot of noise, which I was able to calm. there was a lot of integrity issues which are in the public domain and which we were able to manage and reduce significantly. If you look at for example, the audit queries we had back then, over 50. By the time I left, we were getting only 5 audit queries, which could be explained. So I bring that, the issue of following the law, keeping people informed, being open, being transparent, and just ensuring that you're moving along with everybody. The issue of pressure, the high pressure, I thought about it, and I'm a very courageous person. I don't look it, but I am. And I believe that if I am able to demonstrate that what has been done is the right thing, it shouldn't matter where the pressure comes from. It shouldn't matter. We have to keep at it, because if we don't sacrifice to occupy that space, then who is it that should? So I've thought about all that, and with my patriotism, I am ready for any eventuality, should it happen in the way that you have described it. Very scary, but doable, and I'm ready for it, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So where do you draw your strength from?
I draw my strength, first of all, I'm a believer, and I always know that if I'm doing the right thing, then I'm guided from high up. I draw my strength from sticking to the truth, what is true, because the truth can never become a lie, and lies can never become true. I draw my strength from my self-awareness. I know how far I'm able to go, and I know where I cannot go. So that is where my strength comes from. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'll move to FCPA Tanui to ask further questions.
Thank you, Chair.